Okay, so here comes the next chapter, which is specialized areas. 800 series we have. Question bank, there is nothing much to discuss. You can, wherever SA 720 you find it in the answer, just read it. So if at all required, we will do it. I have looked at the questions. There is nothing which require my involvement to make you understand. So I'll directly go with the specialized areas. So let us try to understand the chapter specialized areas. So now let me set out very easy chapter, guys. Very easy chapter. Hardly a few hours we can complete the chapter. And the thing here is these standards, whatever we are going to discuss in this chapter, they have recently undergone some changes. They have recently some amendments which are made to the standards. So since it is a most relevant topic, so remaining alert is very important here. Earlier these standards are not important. Once in a while they used to ask it, very rarely they used to ask, but since this areas contains a few amendments in the reporting requirements, especially in these three standards, that's why its importance has gone up now. Okay, right. So let us try to understand what are the specialized areas, what exactly we are going to learn in the specialized areas. So from the last 2 days we are having very boring discussion, no? Now for a few days, for today, tomorrow we will have a conceptual discussion. Will not be that boring. So it will be engaging content only we will have. Right. Once again, I will not tell you the chapter. I will tell you I will not come. So which chapters will be boring again? I'm supposed to tell you, but I will not say it. Right. So specialized areas we are going to discuss. Sir, what are these specialized areas? Sometimes we chartered accountants in practice, we mainly do audits. And whatever audits we do, like whatever standards we have covered, till now we have covered 200 series of the standards, 300 series, 500 series, 700 series, which is talking about audit procedures and engagement letters, our reporting requirements, and how you can make use of the work of others. So like that, so much of content we have discussed from the standards. Now, all the standards are talking from the perspective of audit of general purpose financial statements. All the standards are talking from the perspective of general purpose financial statements. Basically, those financial statements which are prepared by the entity for various needs of various users' needs, like financial statements prepared by the listed company, financial statements, statutory audit of a normal company. So whatever standards we have discussed now, those are all the standards which are talking from the audit perspective of a general purpose financial statements, like what audit procedures we have seen, engagement letter, audit reporting, every standard whatever we have discussed, that is purely from the perspective of audit of general purpose financial statements. Those financial statements which are expected to fulfill the information needs of all the users. But sometimes we chartered accountants, we might also be requested by the clients to do audits of special purpose financial statements or that financial information which is specific only for certain users. Sometimes we as a chartered accountants, we might be requested by the clients to do some audit engagements where we are verifying some special kind of financial statements prepared for specific users, not for everybody's use. Some users will be there, they will have their own requirements. According to that requirements, they get the financial statements done and they will approach you as an auditor. Sir, you please verify these financial statements which are not for everybody, which is for specific users. Just a minute, I have to keep my laptop on charge. Yeah, please settle down. So as I was saying, till now, whatever standards we have discussed, those are all talking from the perspective of general purpose financial statements. But we chartered accountants, so we might be sometimes called to verify some information which is not prepared for everybody, which will be prepared for the specific users. And that special cases can be of three categories. That special cases where we are required to verify information for specific users, that could come in three circumstances. Number one, as an auditor, sometimes we might be called upon by the client to do the audit engagement of financial statements which are prepared as per special purpose framework. The management might prepare the financial statements as per special purpose framework to fill the needs of specific user. So in case if you are called upon by the client to conduct audit of the financial statements prepared as per special purpose framework, not as per general purpose framework. There is some special purpose framework. According to that framework, financial statements are prepared, and the client is calling you to do the audit of that financial statements as per special purpose framework. Then how to do the audit of that, how to conduct that audit engagement. That guidance has been given under SA 800. That guidance is given under SA 800. Case number 2. Sometimes, as a chartered accountant, you might be called upon by the client to do audit of not complete financial statements. They might ask you to conduct audit of a single financial statement or a particular element of a financial statement. Sometimes some clients might approach you asking you to do the audit engagement. But that audit engagement is not for audit of complete financial statements. That audit engagement is only to do the audit of a single financial statement or a particular element of a financial statement, element or item of a financial statement. Sir, what do you mean by this? Sometimes some client might approach you and say, sir, please do audit of only balance sheet. Sometimes some client might come and say, please do audit of only P&L statement. Some client might come and say, please do audit of only cash flow statement. That is a single financial statement audit. Or sometimes some clients might come up with the requirement, sir, we want you to conduct audit of only our trade receivables. We want you to conduct the audit of only revenue. We want you to conduct audit of only fixed assets. So this we call it as audit of a specific element or item of a financial statement. So some clients might be approaching us to do audit of a single financial statement or even specific element of a financial statements. In that cases, how to do the engagements, that guidance has been provided by SA 805. That guidance has been provided by what? SA 805. Then we have third category. Sometimes the client might approach you and ask you to do something called audit of summary financial statements. Client might come to you and ask you to do audit of something called summary financial statements. Nothing but you might have heard somewhere. Now this concept is not there. There used to be something called abridged financial statements, where there will be complete set of financial statements will be there, balance sheet, P&L, breakup, notes, everything will be there. But in the old days, what used to happen is circulation used to happen physically by way of post and all. So when the circulation used to happen physically, annual reports used to be very bulky. When you add this MDA, notes to accounts, this all will be bulky. So it becomes very difficult to circulate the annual report. Even it used to become very difficult to circulate entire financial statements also, because notes to accounts itself will run for some 30-40 pages. So if you take the company like Reliance, circulating that full copy of the financial statements used to be very difficult, very costly affair also. Lakhs of shareholders are there. For all of them, you have to circulate. So in previous days, what they used to do is, there used to be one complete set of financial statements. From that, they will extract a summary. That means breakup and all will not be there. Just balance sheet, P&L, cash flow statement, some important 1 or 2 pages of notes. That's it. So that summarized financial statements they used to prepare, and this summarized financial statements will be circulated to the shareholder. But if at all shareholders want to view that complete financial statements, they will be made available for them. So whether this summary financial statements which is getting circulated, whether that is giving true and fair. Why? Because sometimes can do manipulation in that summaries also. Complete financial statements will give a true and fair picture, but when they're summarizing and circulating it, in that they can do a manipulation. There could be manipulations happening there as well. So that's why what they have told us, that summary financial statements are also required to be audited. In those cases, the clients will approach you asking you to do audit of summary financial statements. Then how you are supposed to do that audit of summary financial statements, that is explained under SA 810. That is explained under SA 810. So these 3 are the specialized areas, and these are the 3 standards. If we have discussed that 3 standards are specialized areas, where areas concept will be over. Okay, so what is the scope of this chapter? Number 1, SA 800, talking about how to conduct audit of the financial statements prepared as per special purpose framework. Number 2, which is talking about how to conduct audit of a single financial statements or a specific element or item of the financial statements. Then SA 810, talking about how to conduct audit of summary financial statements. If we are done with that 3, chapter will come to an end. Very easy standard. I am telling you, nothing new will be there. Only a few reporting requirements here and there will change. Since we are very solid in our foundational concepts in the standards on audit, this chapters we can complete like anything. Just only reporting part will be difficult. Only reporting thing, not difficult also. Reporting part, we have to learn it in a new. Reporting requirements will change. Apart from that, everything will be same. And we have spent a lot of time. You will realize now what is the purpose of spending that much amount of time on 700, 200, all that series of standards. Okay, right. So first we will start with SA 800. How to conduct audit of financial statements prepared as per special purpose framework, or even you can say special purpose financial statements. Guys, do we know already what is the meaning of special purpose framework? Are we already aware of it? Yes. So what do you mean by special purpose framework? That framework which fulfills financial information needs of specific users of financial statements. So we need to check, we need to express our opinion whether the financial statements are, but if you are preparing the financial statements as per the requirements of some framework, but that financial statements will not fulfill the needs of everybody. That financial statements will fulfill the needs of only specific users of financial statements. That framework we are going to call it as special purpose framework. Now let us try to understand a few circumstances why this might be needed, a few examples where special purpose framework might be needed. Number one, in most of the cases, why we need the special purpose framework is when we go for loans, when we go for funding. So especially when you go for funding and all, the banks might ask you to prepare the financial statements not on accrual basis. They might ask you to prepare the financial statements on cash basis, or they will make some changes to accrual only, which they generally call it as modified accrual basis. So either they will ask you to follow completely on cash basis and prepare the financial statements, or what they will do is they will maintain accrual basis, but some items they will say these items you recognize only on cash basis. So that we call it as modified accrual basis. So that could be one case where banks or financial statements might ask you to prepare the financial statements on cash basis, because your actual loan repaying capability will not be determined by your book profits. Your actual loan repaying capability will be determined only by your cash profits. So that's why this could be the case where someone is asking you to prepare the financial statements completely on cash basis. Or there could be some other cases where you might be required to prepare financial statements on special purpose framework is, in some cases, law and regulations will tell you. In some cases, law and regulation, for some specific purposes, they might ask you to prepare the financial statements as per certain law and as per certain rules. If I have to give you one example, you take RERA. Builders are there. So for builders, this RERA Act will become applicable, no? So now RERA Act might say the builders to prepare the financial statements by classifying the cost and expenses per project, not the total expenses and all. They might ask you to prepare the project wise segregation of expenses. Like they might be doing some 3-4 projects, but they are required to segregate the expenses and show it in the financial statements as per the project wise. For each project, what is the expense? For each project, what is the revenue that they might have to say. So this could be one case where you might be required to prepare the financial statements only to fulfill the requirements of that regulatory authority. In our example, RERA. For RERA authority, they want to make sure that how much money you have collected for the sale of flats, what is the progress you have done when you are going to give the delivery. They want to know. RERA is a regulating authority for real estate. So to know that, RERA is asking you to prepare the financial statements as per project base. So that could be one example where here also financial statements are getting prepared only to fulfill the requirements of that regulatory authority. This also could be one example. Or one more case, one more example where the financial statements are special purpose financial statements is when you are required to get some grants, especially for NGOs. So NGOs need to get funds. NGOs, sometimes the government will give them grants, or some agencies will give them grants for fulfilling their NGO objectives. Say for example, one environmental protection NGO is there, which is working on greenery, which is working on increasing that greenery on the planet. So now that NGO needs funding. One agency came forward and told, okay, we will give you funding. But to give that funding, we want to know your operations, how much you have spent it on each project, what you have done. We want you to give the financial statements, then we will give you funding. But that financial statements, you don't prepare it as per the generally accepted accounting principles. We will give you some guidelines, follow that guidelines and prepare the financial statements, then we will give you the funding. Grant. So in these cases also, you might be required to prepare financial statements to fulfill the information needs of only specific users. So these are the examples of the circumstances where a person might be, where an entity might be required to prepare financial statements only to fulfill the information needs of specific users. Clear everyone? So these are the examples. Now let us talk about audit related matters. How to do that audit. How to do that audit. Guys, everything I will try to infuse it in your brain, the standard, the technical terminology, all I will try to infuse it. Please follow the discussion. Okay. So whenever a client has approached you asking you to do the engagement for special purpose framework, financial statements prepared as per special purpose framework, first you have to decide whether you should accept that engagement or not. First you have to decide whether you should accept that engagement or not. Now what considerations you have to keep in mind before accepting the engagement? So first they say that the main consideration which you have to keep in mind, listen carefully, don't write. I will give you time to copy if at all required. I will not write anything that requires recording and all. So I will explain the concept only. I will give you structure for the concept. So if the client has come to you, asked you to do the audit of financial statements that to prepared as per special purpose framework, before accepting the engagement, you need to keep one important consideration in mind. What is that important consideration in mind is whatever framework that is getting used, whatever that special purpose framework that is getting used in the preparation of the financial statements, whether that framework is acceptable or not. Whatever financial reporting framework, whatever that special purpose framework which the management is using, whether that framework is acceptable or not. And how the auditor should take that decision, whether that framework is acceptable or not, how the auditor should take that decision is depending on what are the requirements of intended users. So there will be some intended users, no? Intended users means who? For whoever's purpose this financial statements you are preparing, whoever will base their decision on the basis of that special purpose financial statements, that people will call them as intended users. So depending upon the information requirements of that intended users, first we have to determine whether applicable financial reporting framework or whether that financial reporting standards, whatever the management has followed in the applicable in preparing that special purpose framework, whether it is acceptable or not, we have to determine. So tell me, what is the number one consideration we need to consider before accepting the engagement? Whether financial reporting framework is acceptable, and the auditor should take this decision keeping in mind what are the requirements of the intended users. So the conclusion here is, if because of following that framework, if the information requirements of that intended users is getting met, then that framework is acceptable. If not, that is not acceptable. Right. And here they say that that financial reporting framework or that financial reporting standards might come from three places. That financial reporting framework, according to which you are preparing the financial statements, that might come from three places. Might be that special purpose framework could have been given by some organization. Some standard setting organization has given that applicable financial reporting framework. Say for example, NGO is getting a funding. So in order to get the NGO funding, agency told you have to prepare the financial statements. And I asked the NGO asked how we have to prepare the financial statements. Now that agency told you prepare the financial statements as per some NGO accounting standards, which is given by one global organization. There is one global organization is there across the world. That global organization is having some NGO guidelines for the preparation of financial statements. So this agency told you prepare the financial statements as given by that organization, which is a global organization, reputed organization. They also have many members registered with them. They also take the assistance of the experts and all like us, and they have drafted that NGO standards. So you tell me, if the standards, if the financial reporting framework is given by that organization, which is global, which is transparent, which is taking the assistance of experts and all, in that cases, generally we presume it as acceptable or not. If some organization, if some good organization has given the standard, will we presume it is acceptable or will you doubt it? We will presume it as acceptable. Generally, we will consider it as acceptable. Sometimes applicable financial reporting framework, which is getting used in the preparation of that special purpose financial statements, might be given by some law and regulation or law or regulation. Like RERA example I have told. In the RERA Act itself, they have told how to prepare the financial statements. That means financial reporting framework itself is there in RERA. Then also will you deem it as acceptable or will you question it? Then also we will deem it as acceptable. And the last case, which is sometimes applicable financial reporting framework, which is getting followed in the preparation of that special purpose financial statements, might have been given under a contract. Might have been given under a contract. Like for example, one startup entity is there. This startup entity made a pitch before venture capital. This venture capital firm told, okay, we will invest in your company. We will buy the stake in your company. But if we want to buy the stake in your company, you prepare us some financial statements and give it. Depending on that, we will determine how much stake you will get for how much percentage. But that venture capital has told in that contract only. In that contract only, they have told how to prepare that financial statements also. How to prepare that financial statements, they have told in the same contract, whatever they have agreed. So now you have to follow the terms and conditions given in the contract for the purpose of preparation of special purpose financial statements. Now you tell me, what is the source for that financial reporting framework in the given case? That specified contract. So in case if the financial reporting framework is given by the contract, we need to check whatever attributes generally we expect from a normal applicable financial reporting framework, whether all that attributes are also there in the contract. Or if I put it in very simple language, whatever characteristics which I generally expect in a normal applicable financial reporting framework, if those characteristics, if those attributes are there in the contract also, then I will feel it as acceptable. Like for example, in the general applicable financial reporting framework, what do we expect is it should be reliable. The financial statements should be understandable. It should fulfill the requirements of the users. That's what we accept from a normal general applicable financial reporting framework. If these characteristics are also there in the contract, like whatever terms and conditions, whatever rules they have given in the preparation of the financial statements in the contract, they are also understandable. If you follow that, financial statements will be understandable. They will be reliable also. It will fulfill the needs of the intended users also. Then also we will deem it as acceptable. So whatever it is, the first step before accepting the engagement of conducting audit as per special purpose financial statements is what? We need to check that financial reporting framework which is used in the preparation of special purpose financial statements, is it acceptable? If it is acceptable, well and good, we accept the engagement. If it is not acceptable, we will not. If it is not acceptable, we should not accept the engagement. And as a part of that extension, I have told that financial reporting framework, you might get it from three sources. One is from another organization, one is from some law and regulation, another is from the contract. If it is from other organization and law and regulation, we generally assume it as acceptable. If it is from a contract, we need to determine whatever attributes we expect from a applicable financial reporting framework. All that attributes are also there in contract or not. If it is there, we will consider it as acceptable. So whatever it is, evaluate that and accept the engagement. Okay, I have evaluated all the factors, then I have accepted the engagement. Then I have accepted the engagement. Now you have to plan and perform the audit. No, you have done only acceptance. You have accepted to do the audit of that special purpose framework. Now you have to start planning the audit. Now you have to start performing the audit. Now you have to start planning the audit. You have to start performing the audit. So what factors, what considerations you have to keep in mind while planning and performing such engagement? Very simple. We need to comply with ethical requirements. Even in the audit of special purpose financial statements also, we have to comply with all that 5 ethical requirements. Do you remember what are that 5 ethical requirements? Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, professional behavior, independence, everything here also you have to comply. Number 2, you need to comply with all the standards wherever applicable. If some other, while doing this engagement, if some other standard is applicable, that standard also you have to comply with. Like for example, if you are conducting audit of special purpose financial statements, here also if some going concern related matters are there, SA 570 you have to follow. You are conducting audit of special purpose financial statements. In that financial statements, inventory is there. You want to obtain evidence regarding inventory, you have to comply with SA 501. So whatever standards which are applicable, whatever other relevant standards are there, all that relevant standards also you have to comply with. Yes or no? Next, you have to do the planning. SA 300 requirements you have to comply with. Then you have to determine your materiality. Here also you have to determine materiality. But one slight change here. What is the change here is, when we are doing audit of general purpose financial statements, we decide materiality keeping in mind the information needs of all the users. But while deciding materiality for the special purpose financial statements, we have to decide the materiality keeping in the information needs of only specific users. For the intended user, even small items also could be material. So that we have to sit with that specific user and we have to keep what are his information requirements. According to that, we have to determine the materiality levels. Then after that, we have to fulfill the reporting requirements under SA 260. Communication with those charged with governance. We have to communicate some matters with those charged with governance. All that communication matters you have to fulfill. And wherever suitable, you have to obtain written representations, SA 580 and all. So these are all the formalities. Generally, whatever we do in the audit, all that matters also we are supposed to do in the audit of the special purpose financial statements, like compliance with ethical requirements, complying with the standards, deciding materiality, doing the strategy planning and program, and communicating with the reporting requirement, communicating with those charged with governance. So all these things we will do. And finally, after we have performed the special purpose framework financial statements audit, even we are required to report also. Even we are required to give your reporting requirements. So here also we will give the audit report. That audit report is also required to be prepared as per the requirements of SA 700. Very simple, normal reporting requirements only. If the special purpose financial statements are prepared as per applicable financial reporting framework, that means as per the needs of that special purpose framework, they have prepared the financial statements, then we will give an unmodified opinion. If you have evidence that no, they followed something else than the requirements of the special purpose framework, see here we will not comment on true and fair view. Here we will not, here our objective is not true and fair view. Why? Because in special purpose financial statements, true and fair view could be there, could not be there. So when we are conducting audit of special purpose financial statements, what is our whole purpose of verification there? Checking whether financial statements are prepared as per special purpose framework or not. Whatever has been told in the special purpose framework, that has been complied with or not. That is our objective. If complied, we will give unmodified opinion. If not complied, we will give a modified. That could be either qualified, adverse, disclaimer, availability or non-availability of audit evidence, materiality and pervasiveness of the identified or possible effect of the misstatement. So same SA 700 requirements and all we will consider, and even we will give our audit reports also. But here they say one more extra thing when you are conducting audit of the special purpose financial statements. See guys, we all know that these special purpose financial statements are prepared only for intended users. And the information in that special purpose financial statements will help only this intended users. This special purpose financial statements and this audit report, this will fulfill the purpose of only that special users. This financial statements will be suitable only for the decision making of that intended users only. Now you tell me, other than intended user, if anybody has got this access to the financial statements and audit report, if he takes a decision on the basis of that special purpose financial statements, will his decisions be correct or will his decisions go wrong? His decisions will go wrong. Don't you think we have to highlight this information? Boss, these financial statements and this audit report is only for so and so intended user, so and so specific purpose. This is not for everybody. Don't rely on this. This we have done it only for the requirements of specific user for a specific purpose. You have to highlight this information in the auditor's report, and SA 800 says that you can use the emphasis of matter paragraph to highlight this information. What SA 800 has given the guidance? Use the emphasis of matter paragraph. See why? Because that is the only option we have. Other responsibility related matters, we will use it. Emphasis, generally we use it for to highlight any information which is already presented or disclosed. So we don't have any other option. So that's why what SA 800 told is use in the emphasis of matter paragraph, highlight this information that this in financial statements are only for certain people, for certain purpose. This is not for everybody. And in addition to that, the standard also says, to the extent possible, restrict the distribution of this special purpose financial statements and audit report also. Don't just like normal financial statements upload on your website. Don't just like that circulate it. Do a limited distribution. What do you mean by limited distribution? Whoever is the intended user, to those people only you submit it. Don't unnecessarily update in your websites. Don't unnecessarily circulate it to everybody. So please be careful. Restrict the distribution and use of that special purpose financial statements and the audit report. That's all. Standard is over. That's it. So what we have seen, what is the meaning of special purpose financial statements? We have seen what considerations you have to keep in mind before accepting the engagement. Then we have seen what considerations you have to keep in mind when planning and performing the audit. Finally, reporting, restricting the use of restricting that use of the information and restricting the distribution. That's it. Let us read it. So essay 800, special considerations while conducting audit of financial statements prepared in accordance with special purpose frameworks. Let us see what do they say here. Special purpose framework. First, they are defining what is a special purpose framework. Essay 800 defines a special purpose framework as a financial reporting framework designed to meet financial information needs of specific user. This we have already done it in our introduction chapter itself. Financial reporting framework may be a fair presentation framework or it could be a compliance framework. Requirements of applicable financial reporting framework define form and content of financial statements and what constitutes a complete set of financial statements. So what should be the form, what should be the content, which items will form part of your complete financial statements, all that will depend on the requirements of applicable financial reporting framework. In this standard, financial statements refers to complete set of financial statements including related notes that contain summary of significant accounting policies. Even when I say special purpose financial statements, it refers to all items of the financial statements along with relevant notes. Now, what are the examples of special purpose framework? Like as you could see here, cash receipts and disbursements basis of accounting for cash flow information requested by creditors. Like for bank loan, you have to prepare the financial statements on cash basis. Or financial reporting provision set by a regulator to meet their requirements. Like RERA, you can write RERA example here. Financial reporting provisions in contracts like bond agreements, loan agreements, or project grants. So that also could be a case of special purpose framework. Now, next heading, consideration when accepting such engagement. So what consideration you have to keep in mind? Acceptability of applicable financial reporting framework there. So in case of special purpose framework, financial information needs of intended users are a key factor in determining acceptability of financial reporting framework. So you have to, one of the most important consideration is you need to determine whether financial reporting framework is acceptable. And what is the main factor which you will consider in determining information needs of intended users. So depending on that factor, you will decide whether financial reporting framework is acceptable or not. And as I've told, financial reporting framework can be given by a organization, it can be given by a law or regulation, or it can also be given by a contract. Let us see what they say here. Applicable financial reporting framework may encompass financial reporting standards established by an organization that is authorized or recognized to promulgate standards for special purpose financial statements. That means in some cases you will get that financial reporting framework from one organization which is having the authority to release the standards. And in that case, these standards will be presumed acceptable. Generally, we'll go with the assumption that it is acceptable if that organization follows an established and transparent process involving deliberation and consideration of use of stakeholders. That means if such an organization which has given the financial reporting framework, if it is transparent, it is also taking the assistance of various experts in developing that standards, we generally presume it as acceptable. Then financial reporting framework prescribed by law or regulation. Some laws or regulations may prescribe financial reporting framework to be used by management in preparation of special purpose financial statements. Generally, as I have told, these are also acceptable. If you read the example, for example, a regulator may set financial reporting provisions to meet its requirement. In the absence of indications to the contrary, such a financial reporting framework is presumed acceptable. Then in some cases, what will happen is, whatever requirements laws and regulations are saying, and whatever requirements normal financial reporting requirements will have, if there is a conflict between the two, then essay 210 says try to resolve that conflict. In some cases, if you are unable to resolve the conflict, don't accept the engagement only. If there is in extreme cases, unless it is required by law and regulation, you don't do such engagements if there is a conflict between what law and regulation is saying and what other generally accepted standards are saying. If there is an extreme conflict, try to resolve it. If you are unable to resolve it, don't accept it unless there is a mandatory requirement on you to do such engagements. So that's what they say here, where financial reporting standards referred to above are supplemented by legislative or regulatory requirements. Essay 710 requires the auditor to determine whether there are any conflicts between financial reporting frameworks and additional requirement exist, and prescribe actions to be taken by the auditor if such conflict exists. So what you should do if such conflict exists? Either resolve it. If you are unable to resolve it, don't accept such engagements only. Next. Financial reporting framework prescribed by the contract. Applicable financial reporting framework may encompass financial reporting standards of a contract or sources other than those described in the preceding paragraphs. That means sometimes since organization will not give the standards, law and regulation will not give the standards, you will get that from other sources like contracts. And as I've told, in that case, acceptability of financial reporting framework in the circumstances of engagement is determined by considering whether framework exhibits attributes which are normally exhibited by a applicable financial reporting framework according to the requirements of SA 210. Then, in the case of a special purpose framework, the relative importance to particular engagement of each of the attributes normally exhibited by applicable financial reporting framework is a matter of professional judgment. That means I am asking you to check whatever attributes which are there in applicable financial reporting framework. If the same attributes are there in the contract, then we consider it as applicable financial reporting framework. No, sir, which attributes we expect in applicable financial reporting framework? That depends on the professional judgment. Like I told, reliability, understandability, I told, this is not something which is stated. This is something which I, using my professional judgment, I have decided. So what are that attributes which must be there? That is something which you yourself have to decide on the basis of your professional judgment. Next. So these are the considerations when accepting the engagement. Now let us come to the considerations when you are planning and performing such audit. Number one, as you have told, SA 200 requires the auditor to comply with all relevant ethical requirements, including independence relating to the financial statements audit engagement, and even you have to comply with all standards on audit, unless that standard is not relevant for you. You need to comply with all the standards on audit while doing audit of special purpose financial statements, unless that standard is not relevant for you. If I have to give you one example, say for example, SA 600 is there. SA 600, when it will become applicable? Only when you are using the work of other auditor. Say for example, you are conducting audit of special purpose financial statements and you don't have any other auditors only. So that means their SA 600 is not having any relevance. Then you need not comply with the SA 600. So you need to comply with all those standards which are relevant for you. If some standard is not relevant or not applicable for you, those standards you can ignore. So whatever it is, you have to comply with all standards on audit, and also you have to comply with ethical requirements. And if you see, it requires auditor to comply with each requirement of a standard, unless the circumstances entire SA is not relevant or requirement is conditional and the condition does not exist. If that standard is not relevant for you, don't follow it. If the standard will become applicable only when you fulfill some conditions. Like for example, if you take SA 530, SA 530 will become applicable only when you have decided to go for sampling. If you don't go for sampling, SA 530 will not be applicable. So unless the standard is relevant for you, unless you did not comply with the conditions to become that standard relevant, try to comply with all other standards. Next. In exceptional standards, the auditor may decide to depart from relevant requirements in the standard by performing alternative audit procedures to achieve aim of that requirement. In such cases, you need to highlight that departure also. That's what they say here. Yeah, that only. Say for example, as per some standard, you are required to perform some procedure, but due to some reason, because of unavoidable circumstances, you are performing some alternative procedure. So you have to highlight why you have deviated from that requirement of the standard and which alternative procedure you have performed. Like for example, say SA 501, they are asking you to attend the inventory counting process. Because of some reason you did not attend the inventory counting process. Alternatively, you try to perform some procedures and get the evidence. You have to highlight it. So and so requirement I did not comply, because of what reasons you are unable to comply with it, and what alternative audit procedures you have performed. Next. Application of some of the requirements of SS in an audit of special purpose financial statements may require special consideration. Some standards require special attention in special purpose financial statements. Like as I've already told you, materiality. Materiality needs a special attention. Why? Because in case of general purpose financial statements, we decide materiality based on the needs of various users. But in the special purpose financial statements, we have to decide materiality depending on the needs of intended users. Next. So that's what even they say in the example. Then SA 315 requires an auditor to obtain an understanding of entities selection and application of accounting policies. For financial statements prepared in accordance with the contract, auditor shall understand significant interpretations of the contract that management made in the preparation of those financial statements. An interpretation is significant when adoption of another reasonable interpretation would have produced a material difference. So now what they're saying is, when you are, as per SA 315, we need to understand about entity, environment and its internal control. As a part of that understanding, we will even try to obtain understanding of accounting policies followed. Now what they're saying is, in case if you are conducting audit of special purpose financial statements, if the framework is given by a contract, you need to even understand significant interpretations from the contract. So what do you mean by significant interpretation? When an interpretation will be considered significant is when adoption of another reasonable method would produce a material difference. Sir, what do you mean by this? Let me give you one example. Say for example, there is one research company. There is one research company. Now there is one pharmaceutical company. Pharma company is also there. Now this research company is doing some projects. What pharmaceutical company told is, boss, you do one thing, you do the research, whatever research cost you have incurred, we will reimburse it. Whatever research cost you have incurred, we will reimburse it. For that purpose, you need to give us quarterly financial statements according to some special rules and regulations. So pharma company told, you do the research and quarterly you submit your financial statements. How to prepare financial statements, we will give you the breakup. Whatever cost you have incurred on the expenditure, that we will try to give a refund, reimbursement we will give. So in order to get that reimbursement, this research company has to submit quarterly financial statements, that too as per the requirements given in the contract. So now, say for example, in the contract, they told that this pharma company will reimburse expenses relating to research. And in that they told that they will also give reimbursement of direct labor cost associated with the research. What did they mention in the contract? They will give a reimbursement of direct labor cost also. Whatever labor cost they are incurring for that research, that also they will give reimbursement. But they did not define clearly what will be included in the direct labor cost. Now here it needs an interpretation. Now there could be multiple options available. So this research company is saying that when I say direct labor cost, it includes the salaries whatever I am paying. In addition to that, whatever health care, they will take insurance policies and all, no, health care, their staff operations, staff safety, the portion of that also will be included in the direct labor cost. Whereas another alternative interpretation also could be possible. What could be alternative interpretation? Might be tomorrow this pharma company could come and say, no, when I say direct labor cost, I am not talking about all this extra benefits. I am only talking about salaries and wages I have paid. So now this interpretation will become a significant interpretation. Why? Because there is an alternative assumption is available, but if alternative assumption goes, it is going to have a significant impact. Say for example, if you go by the research company's view, the total cost is coming to 10 lakh rupees. If you go by the pharmaceutical company's view, the cost is coming to 7 lakh rupees only. So it is creating a material impact or not. So you need to understand at the time when you are conducting audit of special purpose financial statements, when you are understanding an entity environment and its internal control, especially if the applicable financial reporting framework is given under contract, you read the contract, you need to understand that significant interpretations. Like this kind of significant interpretations, you have to pay attention. Able to understand everybody? So that's what they say here. Once again, if I read it, SA 315 requires the auditor to obtain an understanding of entities, selection and application of accounting policies. For financial statements prepared in accordance with the provisions of a contract, auditor shall understand significant interpretations of the contract that management made in the preparation of those financial statements. And when an interpretation is considered significant, when adoption of another reasonable interpretation would have produced a difference in the information presented. Next, in case of special purpose financial statements such as those prepared in accordance with the requirements of contract, management may agree with the intended users on a threshold below which misstatements identified during the audit will not be corrected. Sometimes they also will give instructions, no, you need not worry about the misstatements which are below 5,000. We don't want you to correct it. If at all you find it, then we will follow that. The existence of such a threshold does not relieve the auditor from the requirements to determine materiality. So management will set the limit, pay attention to that. In addition to that, you should also fix your responsibilities regarding materiality as per SA 320. Fulfill the requirements of SA 320 also. Then SA 260 requires the auditor to determine appropriate person within the entity's governance structure with whom to communicate. As per SA 260, you have to communicate with those charged with governance. So you have to identify who are the people in the organization who are falling under the those charged with governance definition. And in some cases, management and those charged with governance, both the roles will be played by same people. Then our reporting requirements will change or not? Yes. I told you in SA 260, right? When all the people who are involved in the management are also involved in those charged with governance, then you need not do double reporting. If you communicate with one party, the other requirements also will be fulfilled. That they say in the next point. SA 260 notes that in some cases, all of those charged with governance are involved in managing the entity, and application of communication requirements has to be modified. If both are playing the same role, then make changes to your communication requirements. And also, one more thing they say, when complete set of general purpose financial statements is also prepared by the entity, those persons who are responsible for oversight of preparation of financial statements of special purpose financial statements may not be same as those charged with governance responsible for oversight of preparation of general purpose financial statements. Sir, what do they say here? So what are they trying to say here is, say for example, there is one company X Limited. This is a listed company. They will also prepare general purpose financial statements, like they will prepare financial statements as per Schedule 3 accounting standards. They will upload it on their websites and all. Now, for the purpose of loan, they have also prepared the special purpose financial statements. They are having both. They are having general purpose financial statements also. They are having special purpose financial statements also. In some cases, what will happen is the people who are having a oversight over general purpose financial statements may be different from the people who are having oversight over special purpose financial statements. Like if you take the pharmaceutical company, the previous research company example, whatever I have told, that company is preparing general purpose financial statements. That responsibility was given to CFO. CFO is monitoring the financial statements of general purpose financial statements. Then he will become the relevant person with whom to communicate. But when it comes to this quarterly financial statements for getting that reimbursement for pharmaceutical company, this responsibility of financial statements was assigned to research head. There is a research head in the company. To that research head, this responsibility was assigned. This research head is looking after the preparation of special purpose financial statements. Now, for the purpose of SA 260, in the case of special purpose financial statements, who will be that those charged with governance? Research head will be that those charged with governance. So we need to be very careful. The people who are considered as those charged with governance for general purpose financial statements may be different from the people who are considered as those charged with governance for special purpose financial statements. Accordingly, you have to fulfill your requirements under SA 260. Then finally, after you have taken all the above into consideration, you have to form an opinion and you have to report. And how do you report that? By following the requirements of SA 700. Then description of applicable financial reporting framework. So regarding applicable financial reporting framework in audit reporting, they are telling some points. Like SA 700 requires the auditor to evaluate whether financial statements adequately refer to applicable financial reporting framework. So as per SA 700, you need to see that in the financial statements, management is clearly explaining their applicable financial reporting framework. Same thing you need to check for special purpose financial statements also. You need to check in the special purpose financial statements whether management is clearly explaining in the notes to account what framework they are following, why they are following it, for whose purpose they are following it. These disclosures must be given by management, where in the special purpose financial statements. So that's what they say. In the case of financial statement prepared as per the provisions of the contract, auditor shall evaluate whether financial statements adequately disclose any significant interpretations of the contract on which financial statements are based. I have already told you what is a significant interpretation. So management clearly should explain in their notes to accounts all the significant interpretations, all the applicable financial reporting frameworks. SA 700 deals with the form and content of the auditor's report, including specific ordering of certain elements. How to prepare the audit report and all. When it comes to this matter, we follow SA 700 strictly. Title, addressee, all that we will follow. In case of auditor's report on special purpose financial statements, when it comes to report, some special points they are trying to say. The auditor's report shall also describe the purpose for which financial statements are prepared, and if necessary, intended users, or refer to a note in special purpose financial statements that contain that information. In your audit report, if you feel it necessary, in the case of special purpose financial statements, you can say that financial statements are prepared as per special purpose framework, who are its intended users, or even you can give a reference to a note number. In case if all that information is given by the management in the financial statements in some note, even you can give a reference to the note. So generally we say this in the opinion paragraph. In the opinion, we have two sub paragraphs. No, first paragraph we will say financial statements, identify the financial statement, and also we will say that give a reference to the notes, identify the components of the financial statements. 5 items will be there. No, so in that opinion paragraph itself, you can say that these are the financial statements not prepared as per applicable financial reporting framework. These are prepared as per special purpose framework for so and so users, that you can mention in the opinion paragraph only. Then, if management has a choice of financial reporting frameworks in preparation of such financial statements, explanation of management responsibility for financial statements shall also make reference to its responsibility. That means, say for example, management is required to prepare special purpose financial statements as per some contract. Now in the contract itself, the person, the intended user, whoever is there, in the contract itself, he has given two options to choose. Like for example, he asked you to prepare the financial statements either on complete cash basis or modified accrual basis. He has given two options. He told we don't want on accrual basis. Either you follow complete cash basis or you follow modified accrual basis. Here option has been given to whom? Management. So management has to choose one among the two. If such case is there, then in that case, you will give the management responsibility paragraph, no? There you have to add this line. So in the management responsibility paragraph, you have to say that here management has been given two options and the management has chosen so and so option. So that line you have to add. In which paragraph? Management responsibility paragraph. We'll give management responsibility, no? In that paragraph, you have to add this line. So that's what they say here. If the management has a choice of financial reporting frameworks in preparation of such financial statements, explanation of management's responsibility for such financial statements shall also make a reference to its responsibility for determining that applicable financial reporting framework is acceptable. They have given two options. You have chosen one. Why you have decided that is acceptable? So that also you have to add it in the management responsibility paragraph. And in case if you are communicating key audit matters in your audit report, you have to communicate, you have to comply with the requirements of SA 701. And even SA 720 also will become applicable. Just now as we have discussed, if these special purpose financial statements are getting given with other information, we need to check consistency. If inconsistency is there, what action we have to take as per SA 720. So all that requirements here also will become applicable just now as we have completed. So that is why I have first explained SA 720. Why? Because this reference will be there in every standard we are going to see now. In 800 also they will give reference. In 805 also they will give reference. In 810 also they will give reference. So if you read it here, SA 720 deals with auditors' responsibilities relating to other information. In the context of this essay, reports containing or accompanying special purpose financial statements, the purpose of which is to provide owners, will be deemed to be annual reports. That means if these special purpose financial statements are containing some other information, that other information we generally deem it as annual report. For normal audit, annual report name will be there. But in case of special purpose financial statements, if this information is getting included with some extra information, that we generally consider it as annual report, and our responsibilities, whatever we have in SA 720 when it comes to annual report, all that responsibilities will be there here also. Next, in case financial statements are using special purpose framework, the term similar stakeholders include specific users. That means when you are giving other information in normal audit, in normal financial statements, they include other information for their stakeholders, no? In special purpose financial statements, they include other information for the purpose of intended users. Next, when auditor determines that entity plans to issue such a report, requirements of SA 720 also will become applicable. So these are some few special points regarding applicable financial reporting framework description in the auditor's report. So what they have told here, if I have to give you a summary. So first, management should disclose in the applicable financial statements what is their applicable financial reporting framework, and also management should disclose significant interpretations from the contract. When you are preparing the audit report, you follow the requirements of SA 700. Then you should describe, the auditor's report shall describe that this is not general purpose framework, this is a special purpose framework, who is intended user, and also give a reference to the note. So either if you want to say it in the opinion paragraph, or even alternative option, you can do it in the emphasis of matter. Why? Because as I have told, alerting the readers, so that you can use emphasis of matter also. Then if management has a choice between two options, they can choose one, and that has to be added in which paragraph? Management responsibility paragraph. In case if you want to communicate key audit matters, comply with SA 701. If these special purpose financial statements are getting published with other information, SA 720 requirements also you have to comply. Clear? Next, as I have told, alerting the readers that financial statements are prepared in accordance with special purpose framework. So as I have told, special purpose financial statements may be used for purposes other than those for which they are intended. It might be relied on different people for different decisions. So that's why, to avoid the misunderstanding, auditor alerts users of auditor's report by including an emphasis of matter paragraph that explains that financial statements are prepared as per special purpose framework and they are not suitable for any other purpose. SA 706 requires this paragraph to be included in a separate section of the auditor's report with an heading emphasis of matter paragraph. Even an extract of presentation has also been given here, like as you could see. We draw your attention to note number so and so to financial statements, which describes basis for accounting. The financial statements are prepared to assist company in complying with financial reporting provisions of a contract, not for everybody. As a result, financial statements may not be suitable for another purpose. Our report is intended solely for the company and DEF Company Private Limited and should not be distributed to other parties. Our opinion is not modified. So like this, you have to add one emphasis of matter paragraph, alerting the users that it is only for special purpose for intended users. Next, as I've told, in addition to all that, you have to even restrict its distribution and use. In addition to alert required as discussed above, auditor may consider it appropriate to indicate that auditor's report is intended solely for specific purposes. Depending on the law and regulation, this may be achieved by restricting distribution or use of the auditor's report. I will give strict management regulations. Sir, don't circulate it. Give it only to your intended users. This should not come out. And also I will take the help of law and regulation. What the law and regulation says, if they have any stringent provisions, that also I will take into action to make sure that this report is not going to other than intended user. In these circumstances, paragraph alerting readers may be expanded to include these other matters and heading modified accordingly. So in case if you are restricting strictly, that line also you add it. We are restricting this use. If you find this at any other place, it will be a violation. So like that, you can even extend that emphasis of matter paragraph if you are restricting the usage. That's all. This is what regarding SA 800. Simple standard, nothing we have learned new. Just we have understood what is special purpose framework, what considerations you have to keep in mind before accepting. That is the only new thing which we have learned practically. Apart from that, nothing else is there. Everything we already know it. So just go through the standard ones quickly. Don't talk. I will make you answer the questions if you talk. Okay, so we'll have a look at the questions now. Very simple questions only we have here. Here Lalita is an auditor of company. She is also offered professional work of audit of financial statements prepared specifically for meeting requirements of a loan agreement for the same period. She chooses to accept the work and has made up her mind to disclose this fact in emphasis of matter paragraph in audit report to be issued by her for this specific engagement. Is her approach proper? Yes. So she is conducting audit. She has been approached and was asked by the company saying that, sir, we have prepared the financial statements as per the reporting requirements of a loan. So for that purpose, they have prepared the special purpose financial statements. Auditor accepted, and she chose to accept the work, and she wants to disclose that fact in the emphasis of matter paragraph. Is that proper? Yes, that's what even we have seen in the reporting requirements also. Next. CA Lakshmi has prepared a draft audit report for financial statements of X Limited, prepared in accordance with the financial reporting provisions of a contract with Y Limited. She has drafted an unmodified opinion to be given in audit report. Besides, she has also drawn attention in draft audit report to note A to the financial statements, which describes the basis of accounting under the heading basis for accounting. How she should ensure that report would not be misused. Draft a suitable paragraph to be included in the report for the same. Alerting the readers. We have seen that paragraph. No, you will use an emphasis of matter paragraph, give a relevance note. There you say that this financial statements are only for intended users, for specific users, for specific purpose. They should not be for everybody. This highlighting where we will do. Generally, emphasis of matter paragraph we will do. So she may consider it appropriate to indicate that auditor's report is intended solely for specific users. Depending on the law and regulation applicable, this may be achieved by restricting the distribution. In these circumstances, the paragraph alerting the readers may be expanded to include these other matters and headed modified accordingly. Heading modified accordingly. So the para will look like basis of accounting and restriction on distribution and use. So like they are referring to that last line, whatever we have read here. So if you see what they are telling, if you want to restrict the use or distribution, so what they have told, you can, in these circumstances, paragraph alerting the readers may be expanded to include those matters, and even they are asking us to modify the heading, no, if required. If you are restricting the use, even in addition to highlighting that, if at all you want, you can even modify that paragraph. So what you can do is, if you want to restrict the use, instead of highlighting that paragraph, instead of using the heading of the paragraph as emphasis of matter paragraph, you can also use this paragraph. This is one illustration for that. How can you modify the heading? So how he has modified the heading? Basis of accounting and restriction on distribution and use. So instead of using emphasis of matter paragraph, he has modified the heading altogether. So without modifying our opinion, we draw attention to note number A to the financial statements which describe basis for accounting. The financial statements are prepared to assist the company to comply with financial reporting provisions of the contract as referred to above. As a result, the financial statements may not be suitable for another purpose. Our report is intended solely for X Limited, and this report should not be distributed or used by parties. So that relevant paragraph has been expanded and even heading is also modified. Next. SA 800 deals with special considerations applicable in respect of audit of financial statements prepared in accordance with special purpose framework. Explain by giving examples the meaning of special purpose framework. So they're asking you to give the meaning of the special purpose framework, and also they're asking you to write examples. We have already done it. The first part of the SA 800 deals about that only. Next. I think that's it. So many questions we have from SA 810. That is where some reporting complications will come. Apart from that, yeah, rest of all the things are relating to SA 805 and 810. So now what we should do, I'm in a confusion now. So it will take some time. If I start SA 805, it will take little time. It will take around 1 hour. Should I give the lunch break now? Huh? Don't want? So I will give the lunch break. Yeah, we'll give the lunch break. But the thing is, lunch break will be little bigger. So I will come back by 2:30. Okay. So today you have 1.5 hour of break, but I will compensate after the break. 2 hours only. See, 2:30 I will start. 4:30 I will leave. The remaining 2 standards will not take much of a time. So since we, as I've told you, this standard also we did not discuss much. Everything is basics only, right? The same thing will get repeated in the next 2 standards also. So little bit than usual, some half an hour extra I will take, and I will complete 805, 810 both. This specialized areas we will wind it up today. Okay, right.